Good evening. My name is Carolyn Schoenberger, and I have with me my coworker Ina Winston, and I want to welcome you to Immigration Forum. Immigration Forum is offered once a month by the Chicago Legal Clinic to give assistance to people who want more information regarding how to change their immigrant status or how to have a family member come here. So before I talk about immigration, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Chicago Legal Clinic. The Chicago Legal Clinic was founded in 1981 by two new law students who had just passed the bar. And the reason for establishing the Chicago Legal Clinic was because South Chicago had once a very, very thriving community, but after the steel mills closed, a lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people could not find work, and there was no low-cost or even free legal services in the neighborhood. So two brand new lawyers got together and formed the Chicago Legal Clinic that existed in one room across from the Olive Harvey branch in South Chicago. 35 years later, the Chicago Legal Clinic now has 4 neighborhood offices: South Chicago, Austin, Pilsen, and downtown, as well as several programs in the Daily Center dealing with child support, dealing with foreclosure and chancery matters, and a free legal clinic at Harold Washington College, where I also teach. Our Pilsen office is the office that primarily deals with immigration issues, and we have people who speak Spanish, English, French, and Italian available to help people. And in doing immigration, we also do deportation defense as well as any other type of defense. So I'm going to put on an overhead right now that talks about some of the other questions, the other issues that we bring. It's foreclosure, family law. We have many different types of cases. In the event that you would like assistance, please call 773-731-1762, 773-731-1762, between the hours of 9 and 5. Social Security defense, in addition to immigration, family law, foreclosures, real estate matters. Again, we're very happy to help at low cost. I'm now going to talk a little bit in Spanish, and I ask those of you who are Spanish speaking to please forgive me my accent. So, me llamo Carolina Schoenberger, estoy aquí con mi colega Ina Winston, hablar con usted sobre asuntos de inmigración. Pero antes quería hablar un poco de la Clínica Legal de Chicago. La Clínica Legal de Chicago fue establecido en 1981 por 2 nuevos abogados. Antes, el sur de Chicago era un barrio fantástico, pero cuando los molinos se cierran, mucha gente ha perdido su trabajo. Por esto, no había ningún problema. Si tuvo problema legal, no había ningún lugar por donde puede ir por pagar pocos costos, y por esto la Clínica Legal de Chicago fue establecido. So, si tiene ahora tenemos 4 oficinas en los barrios al sur de Chicago, Pilsen, donde estamos, Austin, y al centro también hay programas gratis en el Daily Center y por los estudiantes de Harold Washington College, por donde soy profesora. Si usted tiene preguntas sobre inmigración, programas de violencia doméstica, bienes raíces, seguro social de incapacidad, favor de llamarnos entre las horas de las 9 y las 5. Llame a 773-731-1762, 773-731-1762, entre las horas de las 9 hasta las 5 de la tarde. Y en Pilsen, por donde tenemos el programa de inmigración, tratamos de defender a la gente en casos de corte y de pedir por familiares. Si tiene cualquier pregunta sobre inmigración, favor de llamarnos 773-731-1762. Ahora inglés otra vez y lo siento si tengo un acento que no es perfecto. So muchas gracias. Okay, so Ina, I'd like to welcome you.
Well, thank you.
And Ina is an attorney in the office. We work together.
We do, and I want to put in a little plug for our office. Our little office in Pilsen. I want to echo what Carolyn says, and it's we have 3 attorneys and an office manager who's a genius, and we are a friendly office, and we care about our clients. We like our clients, and we are committed to our clients.
And the other thing that we are very proud of is that we're very, very honest with our clients. In the event that we do not think a client has a strong case, we tell the client.
Right.
We don't want to lead the client to believe that they can get something that will not be possible. So we're very honest, and our fees are extremely conservative. We're not for profit. We do charge, but we don't charge very much.
And we work with you on fee payments. So.
Yes. So we thought tonight we would talk a little bit about the deferred action and what that means. So Ina, can you tell us a little bit what deferred action means?
Okay, well, the reason we thought we'd talk about deferred action is, as everybody probably knows, the case involving DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and DAPA, Deferred Action for Parents of U.S. citizens and lawful children who are U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents, was recently argued before the Supreme Court, and we're anticipating that a decision will come down in June. So this raises the question of what is deferred action in the first place. And it's actually, even the court seemed a little confused, because they seem to not be able to deal with the distinction between lawful presence and lawful status and deferred action. Deferred action simply means that the government is forbearing from prosecuting a person for deportation who could be deported, but the government is declining to do so because they're a low priority for deportation. There are 11 million people who are undocumented. We cannot deport all these people. That's absurd. So the government is supposed to categorize people so that serious criminals are the first people to be deported. That, of course, hasn't really happened in reality. So deferred action just means the government is deferring. The person is here, they do not have status, and the government is deferring deportation action against that person.
They're basically not taking action at the present time. Now, there has been a deferred action program for victims of domestic violence. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I mean, sometimes a woman, a victim of domestic violence who is, for example, has been married to a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident who, had the person not been an abuser, would have simply filed and the person would have adjusted or
received their green card.
Yeah, counselor processed or adjusted, gotten the green card. Instead, it has simply been abused, and the person refuses to do anything for the usually it's a woman, not always, but usually. And if the woman can file a petition on her own behalf, so that in a sense she's put into the same position as she would have been had the abuser not been abusive and filed for her.
So who can qualify for the Violence Against Women Act?
A person who has a bona fide marriage to a lawful permanent resident or a U.S. citizen and who can show that they have been abused.
I believe also parents of United States citizens.
That's correct. That's true.
And in some cases, children.
That is correct. They can. That's correct.
Okay, so...
And when the person files the petition, once it is approved, the person usually gets a deferred status. They do not have a green card. The case may not be ready for adjustment because they may be waiting for a priority date if they have been the spouse, for example, of a lawful permanent resident. They are given deferred status.
And they also can get work authorization.
Correct. Which is not as unusual as the public may make it seem. There have been many programs in the past where work authorization has been granted to people with deferred status, and it was granted, had nothing to do with Obama. I mean, in the Reagan era, amnesty resulted in many people who had no status being on a path towards getting status, but while they were on that path, they were given work authorization. And in fact,
Asylum seekers.
Asylum seekers,
Can get work
TPS,
authorization.
temporary protected status, a person who comes from a country where there's suddenly a hurricane and can't go back there, will be able to work.
So let me ask
It's
a
not
question.
unusual. I actually came armed with the law, and I have a whole list of it, and
Well, let's talk about a couple of other programs. You mentioned the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. That's a program that is still in existence.
it is.
That was created in 2012. If you can maybe talk about.
Well, actually, yeah, it was created actually, I think it was, didn't Obama create it at the end of 2014, I think?
Okay, could have been
2014, but the 2012 stays in our minds because the person has to have been here at that date. Now, let me tell you what the law is now, what you can apply for now, and how it differs from what's proposed and what's being challenged before the Supreme Court. The law is the person has to have entered the United States prior to the age of 16. That's true now. That's true in the proposed law.
And how would you establish, what's the easiest way to establish if you came here before the age of 16?
Your school records,
School records, very easy to do.
doctor records, but usually it's school records.
Right.
The person has to lived under the prior law. The person has to have lived under the law now. The person has to have lived continuously in the United States since June 15th of 2007. The expanded law would provide a later arrival date. The person has to have lived continuously in the United States since at least January 1st of 2010.
So let's do a clarification. This is not a law. This is a change in program priorities.
It's a policy.
It's a policy.
And that's
It's not
all
a
it
law.
is. It's not enacted by Congress. It's not even an executive order. It's a policy as to who we're going to defer action.
Okay,
for.
and so what is another change? Under the present law, there's a limit as to when you can apply.
That's correct. The person cannot be more. The person has to be less than 31 as of June 15th, 2012. That age restriction would be eliminated under the proposed law.
So if you arrived here as a child, but under the proposed program that is before the Supreme Court of the United States right now, if that were the case, then there would no longer be an age limit.
That's
But right now, as of the 15th of June, 2012, you had to be 31 years. And frankly, I've had clients who applied later than 2012, but they were less than 31 as of the 15th of June, 2012. What else does the expanded deferred action program provide?
Well, it has the same guidelines as that the person really can't be a significant criminal is what it all amounts to.
And that includes DUIs.
That's correct.
So if you have a DUI, do not apply.
That's correct.
So again, you can get work authorization, and the government, at least as of right now, has agreed not to try to deport you for at least 2 years. But under the new program, that would extend to 3 years.
That's correct.
So it'd be 3 years. What else can we add?
Well, there's a totally new section of the proposed policies, which is DAPA. And DAPA would benefit an undocumented person who's living in the United States, who is the parent of a United States citizen or a lawful permanent resident, as long as the person who's applying for DAPA, the parent, has lived continuously in the United States since January 1st of 2010, had as of November 20th, 2014, a son or daughter who's a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident, and again, is not a significant criminal.
So no DUIs, no domestic battery, nothing with a gun, no drugs. Very important to have a clean record. And we have many clients who would benefit by having this deferred action who have several U.S. citizen children here. So again, these are examples of two programs that one is in existence right now but would be expanded, and a new program that would benefit a lot. What is a good reason for having programs such as the deferred action for childhood arrivals or the deferred action for parental accountability?
Well, a good reason from the government's perspective would be that people who can earn a decent living purchase goods, and they'll give the whole economy a boost, and the entire tax base will grow. If you want to shore up Social Security, having people come out, young people, and an immigrant population is younger than the rest of the population. Having immigrants contribute to Social Security and come out of the shadows would help shore up Social Security dramatically. There's a lot of good reasons from the government's perspective.
So again, just as a moment, I do want to invite anyone with a question to please call the number on your screen, and we will answer. Si tiene una pregunta, llámanos, por favor. And I also want to cut again to our flyer that lists the phone number 773-731-1762, where you can call if you need legal advice or have a problem, in addition to immigration, such as real estate, Social Security, disability, or any type of will or probate, to please call that number between the hours of 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. So again, here's the list and the number. Please remember to, call us between 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So going back to deferred action, people who can get jobs and pay in Social Security and also many other jobs that are out there. But there are people who argue that immigrants don't add anything to our society.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, look around you. Many great inventions are by immigrants. I mean, if you're against immigration, you're probably against computers too. You're all kinds of contributions have been made by immigrants. Our culture is a culture that's been created by an immigrant population. We are immigrants. We are all immigrants.
And that is true. And immigrants work hard, take care of our seniors. A lot of people who come from different countries come here.
The economy would collapse without immigrants if you want to be realistic about it.
So, again, the case before the Supreme Court, the state of Texas and 25 other states were claiming that the President Obama did not have the authority to make this type of policy change. And in arguing before the Supreme Court, one of the issues that came up is how does Texas and the other 25 states have standing to challenge the law? Do you want to talk about standing?
Yeah, I do. Standing means what stake do you really have in the controversy? Courts don't sit around and just abstractly pass on whether whether a policy is a good law or not. They want to see, do you have a stake here? What brings you here?
Well, the state of Texas and the 25 other states said that they would have to issue driver's licenses.
That's really a strange argument when you think about it, because they don't have to issue driver's licenses to undocumented people. They can pick and choose to whom they wish to issue the licenses, or they can charge the people more. It's a self-inflicted problem, and that's what kind of makes me think it's hard to read the tea leaves. Because the argument, I did listen to the argument. It was really, I felt even the Supreme Court was confused. They didn't really understand why someone would be entitled to employment authorization if they have deferred action, even though it's in a statute, in a code of federal regulations, which was passed long ago, long before DACA ever came into effect.
But the standing issue is an important one, and there was a famous case called Sierra Club versus Morton. And this was a case brought by the Sierra Club that cares about the environment. And they were challenging something that the federal government was doing. And the United States Supreme Court said that the Sierra Club did not have standing. They could not show direct harm to their members. And so the Sierra Club lost on the issue of standing. And we are maintaining that the state of Texas and the 25 other states did not adequately show how they would be harmed by this program under federal law. Let's fast forward. Let's assume that the next president of the United States, the first thing that he does in office is say, I'm going to terminate this program and I'm going to deport everyone on it. Right now, if a case were to be brought by someone, how long does it take for the case to go to trial?
Well, First of all, I think I find it hard to believe that people on DACA would be your first priority for deportation.
But let's assume it is.
But
How long does it take from?
It takes a really long time.
Five years.
Totally, if you go to immigration court, they are totally inundated with cases. There are few judges relative to the number of cases. They have huge caseloads. It's years, and there's really not a lot of prioritization. The felon and just the overstayer are sort of lumped together and on the same timetable. It's an irrational system right now.
So the judges work very hard and they try to do justice, but it still is about
It's a
5 years.
long time. Nobody's being deported tomorrow.
So we throw another 11 million people into this. We increase the number of judges. It's still going to be many years before most of these cases go to trial. So it is not practical to talk about deporting 11 million people. Instead, it would be more productive to talk about solutions to the problem, not just throwing people out and building walls. Building a bridge that would solve problems to everyone's benefit seems to be a better idea. So if someone is concerned about what's going to happen with the new president, again, it's important to consult with an immigration lawyer. Certainly come and talk with us. There are other not-for-profits throughout the city, but I would not be concerned because even if the worst-case scenario happens, it would probably take many, many years to even get around to a trial, and then people have a right to defend themselves. So I know you've done several deportations.
We've done cancellation cases. We have both done cancellation cases very
cancellation of
successfully.
deportation. But it takes years. And if you have a family member who is here legally, such as a child who's a U.S. citizen, you have a defense that you have to prove to the satisfaction of the court. So again, there are a lot of rumors going on about everything, a lot of bombastic jargon and discussions about we're going to build walls and we're going to throw everyone out. But that is really, it gets attention.
It's kind of hysterical, really, and it's detached from the reality of the situation, which is that immigrants are contributors to the economy.
So again, there have been other cases, temporary protected status for people who are from countries that have had a terrible problem, earthquakes. Haiti was on temporary protected status. Central America. There's a long history of deferred action.
Well, you mentioned cancellation cases. The person who's put in cancellation, you file the case, if you have a cancellation of removal case, and the person meets the requirements, they have a qualifying relative to whom, that is a documented relative, who can show that it would be an extreme hardship if...
Let me try to answer a call. Is there a caller?
Good evening, Professor. Welcome back.
Thank you.
When I be taking my classes, I see other students from other different countries, especially the students that major in engineering and science and medicine. I would like to see those students, we try to do something to encourage those students to stay here 3 or 4 years after they get their degree, and we reap the benefits of them. To stay here in our country.
Right.
Why don't we do something like that? Because they can add to our country. Because one of the best neurosurgeons in the world had to be one, like he's third in the world. Guess what? He was an immigrant. He was one of those guys that was hopping across the border at one time every day.
Absolutely, and actually they have just, there's something called OPT, and that's for foreign students. And foreign students, if you are majoring in science, technology, engineering, or math, you could actually get an additional year for OPT, which is after you graduate. I'm going to have to wrap up now, but I invite you to please tune in to watch Immigration Forum with the Chicago Legal Clinic 1 month from now, five weeks from now. I believe it's June 13th. And if you have any questions, again, please contact 773-731-1762, 773-731-1762, and check out the rumors. It's important to find out the facts and not be blown over by rumor and basically someone just shooting from his hip. So I wish you good night and thank you for watching.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, Wina.